IG get their hands on, are highlighting the trundle now. Wouldn't be surprised to see that come in, especially for Aki. It's his third most played right now. You know, going to give you the ability to take away some of those tank stats, have the pillar available, maybe looking elsewhere. And then, to me, right, we kind of hit on bot lane. You could look towards there, look to get Abel on something comfortable. Or, I mean, even if you would want to pick up something like an Ahri or a Taliyah and try and prevent that from going into the hands of Mole, I think it's something that can make sense.
But this is what we talked about. It is open with the Zeri ban on blue side. Instead, Abel has Samira up and available with a Xin Zhao lyric. Yuumi's going to come through, but I don't know. I mean, OMG in the third pick. That's going to be interesting if Abel takes it yet again.
I'm curious to see if IG now feel threatened to take the Sivir away and, you know, go towards some sort of Sivir lane. Because we have seen Abel play it. It was only once, but it was a win. And will give OMG a lot of opportunities to look for these engages that they like. And heck, even the first rotation, right? Xin Zhao plus the Yuumi, going to be able to set them up to be able to find fights on their terms. And that's what OMG love doing. We see now the Jax locked in for Zika, so wanting to get his hands on what I'd say looks like his most comfortable pick by a mile. Can be self-sufficient, doesn't need a ton of resources. And then typically I'd want to see something like the Taliyah here, but Creme has been willing to go towards the Ahri a lot more than he's been willing to go towards the Taliyah. He's actually only played the Taliyah once, to where he's played the Ahri 6 times. So I think that's why IG leaning into a bit more of a takeaway from Creme.
And kind of just prompting them to go, well, all right, if you don't pick Taliyah, if you don't pick the Sivir, you talked about, we're going to ban it away. So it is not going to be the Samira bottom lane. Lyric, I forgot. You know, with the Yuumi, a lot of the time, Samira needs that all in as well. So
yeah,
safety in the bottom lane instead.
OMG wearing their seatbelts today, which I don't know if it's something I like. I kind of like OMG when they
screw seatbelts.
Like the thing that's nice about OMG is that they're one of the teams that hard indexes into their style. And I feel like whenever we've seen OMG divert from that, especially when they've gone for like more passive or scaling picks, like when we had Creme going towards Corki and we had these like very passive bot lanes, is when OMG look a little bit off kilter. But you know, we have what we have. OMG heading into second phase of ban is going to start taking away some of these AD carries from On. On is really leaned into the Aphelios. The other pick I feel like he's looked most comfortable on is surprisingly the Draven, which was taken away in first rotation. So IG going to have to be going down into the depths for what they're willing to pull out. I think it's going to be a tough ask. Really, the only other thing he's played is the Jinx. We obviously saw V5 bring out the Senna Tom Kench up against or it was the Senna Seraphine up against the Sivir Yuumi the other day, but not too sure how confident On would be going in that route.
On is someone who, you know, has played a couple of wacky champs like the Zeri, the Seraphine. I'm going to pause on that because before we talk more about AD, this was something we were highlighting a little bit earlier. IG have completely left it open. And although Creme hasn't been playing it as much as things like the Silas Corki, it's still a strong pick in the meta. But Creme is Creme, isn't he?
Yeah. If he does, I'm surprised. But to me, it's looked like Creme doesn't really have the confidence to play some of these other champions. Yeah. We saw this in their last series against BLG, kind of opting into the Akali and then getting wrecked by Icon. So, gonna go with that once again. Should hopefully be able to have a better performance, especially like we said, if his team could enable him. Can be a little bit rougher when you have a Yuumi down on the bot lane because it means less movement coming out from support to try and enable your mid lane matchup, but means we'll need to see more coming out from Aki.
If Arndis does this, oh my god, what a Chad. What an absolute Chad. He's literally telling Abel, I can play it better. Look at that
Look
smirk.
At the smirk.
What an absolute beast. All right, Arn, we're all watching. Are you going to play it better than Abel? This is his signature pick, and he's going up against the man that is absolutely demolished on it here in summer.
Yeah, I think IG so far, right? They have the ability to play out through side lanes. They have pick potential coming in from the Ahri, but then especially wanting to set up for those big 5v5s, Shun setting it up with the Wukong to enable On to go in with the Samira and really take over. Looks like for now, OMG just thinking of going towards, you know, more guaranteed opportunities to find these fights. OMG want to find these early skirmishes. They want to brawl. They lock in the Sejuani, but you're going to do fine, right? Sejuani feels like one of these picks that in most matchups, you're just going to chill. You're going to do fine. You're going to bring a lot of utility once you hit that level 6 point. But again, the thing I fear is if IG can start breaking down one of these sides early, what you'd expect to be bot with the fact that they've taken the Samira Nautilus and then use that to like hover around mid, make it so Creme's constantly pushing and can't move. That's where IG can start finding some of these things like first Rift Herald or invading the enemy jungle and preventing OMG from getting the Akali involved in these fights.
So strength of early game through bot for IG, but for OMG, what? Are we turtling here? Are we just trying to hope that Creme gets through the laning phase so that we get towards, you know, mid-game Akali with the Sivir, Xin Zhao, and all the strength in their comp?
I think for the side of OMG, they could look to play, like, they don't need to get too much going, I think, in the first few levels. When I really want to see them come online is especially that level 6 mark, because that's when we hit on, especially for the Sejuani. Having that ultimate available opens you up to being able to find a pick in top lane, which you could try to directly transfer into being able to take a Rift Herald, or being able to take that Rift Herald fight. And that's when Creme, even if you aren't first to move, even if you're just slightly behind Mole because he did have prio, I mean, you'll be able to get to the fight in time to where OMG's topside 3v3 can be incredibly potent with the amount of AoE like CC or AoE like damage they're able to bring to the table, the backline access that the Akali's coming down, the knockback from the ult from the Xin Zhao, just like all these tools available should be enough to get them a win.
All melee as well, so Permafrost is going to have a field day here for the Sejuani. A good point with the 3v3 in the top side for OMG while they're facing up against the Samira in game 1. Abel didn't want to pick it. He went for the Yuumi Sivir, but Arn comes in and just says, watch me here to open up Summoner's Rift. IG out of playoffs, but they are fighting for LNG right now. With a 2-0 win in this series, they will lock in LNG into playoffs, and LNG better send them some lucky money after that, because on the other side of the Rift, OMG can also lock in playoffs with a 2-0, a 2-1. They just need to win this series, so it is a very important one for their dreams today as we round out towards the middle of the end of the week. What happened here? Award bot, okay, Creme. Thank you.
So Creme making sure they aren't going for any bush shenanigans, right? Try and get Winkin on down there, throw out a Nautilus hook level 1, and just start off the lane in a successful position. Because, I mean, OMG's bot lane, you have, like, potential to try to bully out, right? Having the range from the Yuumi poke down a little bit, jump on the Sivir. You have the spell shield to try to dodge out on the dredge line. But I think a lot of it's just going to be down to trying to clear waves. But IG should go for a bit of an invade themselves and steal away this blue buff.
Not spotted out, though. Missing pings there, but for Invictus Gaming, giving Shun this side of the map, Lyric, we've already seen it a couple of times today. I think we actually got it in both games. This vertical jungle for such a volatile 2v2 is set up again.
Yeah, now for OMG, they should have the information there, considering where IG are walking in from, to know that this steal did come through. But look at Aki. He's actually not looking to cross into IG's topside jungle. He's looking to come find the Wukong.
He's going to be level 2, but Shun, as he starts off Gromp, might have to get over the wall. W isn't available. He's standing still. It might point to no. He's going to EQ as flash over commit. Arn's there too. IG, what? The Yuumi healing not enough as Arn flashes in, needs last auto, and he gets first blood. Abel now in the jungle trying to keep up, but the dash again from Samira. Is Arn going to do it better is the question, as Abel's able to get a trade kill. Wink helping out massively. It is a 1-for-1, but first blood goes to Abel's old best friend.
I love that. I love that instead of being like, I'm flashing over this wall, the other members of IG flash in, look for the aggression. It ends up being a 1-for-1, like you said, so not too much lost, even for Creme in the mid lane. Like, the wave was in a pretty good place for him to be able to come pick all this up. We'll see here, right? Can flash over, but no. They opt into taking the fight, thinking that they have the stronger level 1 from the CC that the Nautilus is able to bring on. Indexing in onto Aki, he's going to guarantee that one. But with how low Shun is, Abel wants to be able to bring him down. And Creme said, screw mid-wave, I don't care about that. Tries to get involved first. Abel was able to pick up the kill as well. And yeah, the flash from Creme, not exactly necessary, but just wanting to try a way to be involved, especially with how messy and chaotic that skirmish was.
But you know the problem, Lyric, is Creme came through, involved with both of his summoners. Mole did not. Mole is now with the 10 CS lead in mid, and we kind of expected and talked about how Creme has to get through this laning phase. But it just feels so much harder now, considering that IG's early game has been set up with such an ambitious invade.
There isn't much threat of like a kill coming through in this matchup. The only annoyance is just being constantly pushed in, being under your turret, not being able to link up and join in those fights, especially if Aki would want to try and make those plays down up towards top side, you know, at that level 6 mark when Shanji hits ultimate, or cover for bot lane if IG are going to keep playing like absolute psychos. So it could be rough, especially with the TP still available. Going to give Mole a really nice opportunity to reset and even potentially keep Creme in lane so he can't match with a good reset of his own.
And while his lane's going well, let's just hover back to bottom side. Arn was able to get the first blood, but Abel, as you said, got the response kill. But we saw a bit of a CS lead. I'm curious as camera pans down to what the wave state's like, because Shun and Wink now roaming around together, the bottom side of the map, completely under their control.
IG knowing where they want to play to find this win, right? They take the Samira, they take the Nautilus, this type of lane. Finding kills in the 2v2 is going to be quite hard, like we just saw, right? The Sivir spell shield doing so much. But if you could just constantly hover, allow them to keep trying to bully out, keep pushing in, maybe even hit turret plates, and draw Aki down in the 3v3 is where IG should be feeling more comfortable for the amount of early CC that they do bring to the table, right? Yuumi gonna be incredibly strong in those skirmishes later on. When you get some levels under your belt, you have that ultimate, you're bringing the sustain, and there's some like health and resistances for the laners to build off of. Just not quite yet.
Already starting to see the effects. As you talked about, gonna have to wait a little bit. The level 6 mark getting close here for Creme, but this guy is got no HP. We'll have to back away. Good timing here from Mole as well, who continues to be successful in the laning phase. We didn't get to talk about Zika, but Zika just walked down, took the scuttle. So it is double scuttle for IG2, while Zika is also up CS. So Lyric with this 1k gold lead. Walk me through again a little bit about what you expect for IG to further balloon this out of control, considering that Arn is still in a great position, that sums on mid are still not up and available, and you have a lot of angles.
For IG, I mean, it looks like Shin now going to path up and try and clear out some of his topside camps. I think make your way down towards spot. Would have been nice if they could have found an angle with the timing that Mole has TP, right? Because he could have gotten to lane, pushed this in, and like found a window either to start up Dragon, aggressively walk into bot side jungle and get some wards down. But since that didn't happen, I feel like it's going to be a bit of a slower one, right? Shun should make it towards the bot side, you know, 6:30, 7-minute mark. If his other camps do start respawning, then you could look to lean over. Maybe you turn that into a Drake, or maybe just use that to get topside pressure. Bring Nautilus up, since unlike Yuumi does have the freedom to walk the river, and then we'll be hitting, you know, Rift Herald timings. Point is, IG should be using the pressure they have in bot and mid and transferring that into vision in the enemy jungle, and then picking up one of the neutral objectives. Herald being a lot more valuable than an early Drake.
Oh yeah, that localized gold of 200 is insane, and in a minute 30, we might get to find out the contest here, as we've had no Dragon set up from Shun, who controls vision on the bottom side. And with Shun moving up towards the enemy jungle too, it could only be moments away with Scuttle Crab there as well. So it's like right now for IG, not really over-forcing. And Dragon should be started up momentarily. So as you say, Lyric, the 6 on OMG is going to be hit, but at the very least, kind of curious as to if they can get this roam on Creme that you talked about, with Creme still only barely not having the flash available.
No, he's going to lean over now, but I like this, right? We just hit on it. Get the enemy jungle, try and get some vision down. They even have the blue buff. You know, no blue buff timer. They took the blue buff at level 1, and now they are going to turn to start the Drake. They have enough time to finish this off before Herald spawns as well, because that has been the kind of hindrance of picking up early Drakes on this patch, is because of how long they take to secure. And Aki finally going to start looking up towards his top side. This is what we projected for OMG to look towards, with the fact that Shanji having the ult available and IG laying down so much pressure towards the bottom half of the map.
Remember, Counter-Strike is also going to be a bane in their existence, as Dragon's about to drop with, as you said, moments to get up to this top side. Zika still waiting for the dive to come through, as that wave is massive. Shanji heading in first, and Aki heads for the plating. Ultimate from Zika as he hits into the Counter-Strike under turret. This is delayed. Aki and Shanji are just trying to buy time with this boar, but as Ignite drops down, Shanji with the Arctic Assault, the flash away. Zika gets out, but Shanji and Aki will have full freedom to this turret from now.
I mean, still nice by Zika to survive that play, right? Two people coming in on top of him, but you hit on it. The ultimate, the Counter-Strike especially, being able to do so much to dissuade them and get them to look to back off. And the fact that OMG used the tempo to look to make that play, they use Shanji's ultimate, they aren't able to look for this play on Herald. Mole and Shun have both reset in that time. Mole getting Prio back in mid lane, and now Shun just going to be able to start this one up right away. So IG actually picking up both early objectives, and we'll get a replay from Zika's perspective of how he does outplay this one. Kind of walks in using the W. holds the E for quite a long time, which to me felt like the critical thing after popping the ult decently early on to make sure that doesn't come through. And then great Q and then flash away to prevent the follow-through coming out from Shanji.
Missed a bit of CS, but as he comes to the top side now, Zika still has a lot to work with as we're getting an engage. Mole with the Spirit Rush out, Dredge line. IG aggressive as always as Arn close to getting the S rank on the Daredevil Impulse. He now has the Inferno trigger available for Arn. The ulti starts spinning. And Invictus Gaming are all in all the time. Creme lockdown, a double kill there. Arn building up that Impulse again. And even with Yuumi, even with him going down, Mole lives on. Cold is one cat in the middle of two people. Invictus Gaming will take the brawl every damn time.
That was so tense. Like that was on a knife's edge. That was, oh my, that was splitting hairs with who could win that fight. And IG somehow managing to come out ahead. I mean, it was so messy. I didn't even catch how IG were able to take this one. They come through. They all in on Shanji. Zika not even here the whole time, staying up in that top lane. So is a numbers advantage for OMG, but he gets taken down incredibly quickly. And then feels like the most critical thing, right? You said on hitting the ultimate, being able to get in there, dealing a ton of damage onto two members, Aki and Creme, and then Mole following through with the charm. This is where I thought Abel might be able to get it done. There just is no other word for Abel. But there we go, able to get the heal off once Mole finds that kill, has double buff, so able to get the abilities back as well to get the job done. Hysterics, you take over as I have to refresh myself on synonyms for Abel.
Yeah, I do too, because Abel, you know, in that last fight, if we saw that Abel was unable to actually find that fight win, I feel like IG wouldn't be able to snowball this early game. Arn is 3-1 and 3. Now he's able to really push this lead further.
You know,
Immortal Shield bow. Yeah.
Some people think on is bad. I don't think on's bad because, you know, I feel like you're not using the word on in too many situations. But Abel, my goodness, he picked the worst name. Is Engage.
Good play well. Stops out for Arn. He's the target by Creme, who jumps full on in. Doesn't have his first item, but Arn doesn't care. Running in, he has the Inferno trigger yet again, but needs the angle as knocked into the skies. IG make it a firm trade. Creme is down, and every time you want to brawl with Invictus Gaming, just remember that they invented it.
IG now have On and Mole, huge. 3-on-3 in the mid lane, 3-1-4 down in bot side. They were able to pick up Herald, so now going to be able to use this, you know, potentially just get this turn out right. Looks like they should be able to do it. Keep up so much pressure on the map. This is going to open up a lot of opportunities towards pivoting towards either side of the jungle to double down on vision. And with Dragon coming up in about a minute's time, they already have vision on lockdown towards bot side. For IG, they can just look to keep that up, pick up another neutral, and look, they're at about a 6K gold lead at 11 minutes. 11 minutes, IG!
Your man in the mid lane, right? Mole has been also having a great time that last fight. Came
Did you see yesterday?
I did.
Did you see the poll yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who put that there. I promise it wasn't me. Someone put a poll in LPL chat. Who's the best mid laner ever of all time? Mole won the poll. I'm just saying, the people have spoken.
You know why? Because Mole played every position. You know, how can you argue with something like, everyone makes a big deal. Xiao who won MSI as a top laner and then as a mid laner. Okay, but Mole's played every position on the V5016 roster and has come back with the mental of a god, because that roster was an absolute tragedy and just will never be spoken about again in serious terms.
To be fair, right, they never had their full roster that split. You know, 2020, the year of the outbreak, was hard for a lot of teams, and V5 bearing the brunt of it. But yeah, you're right. Mole, solid series so far. But again, Creme having to fall back to the Akali. We're really seeing kind of the limits of this champion. Another champion that kind of, I think, really felt some of the nerfs to things like the potions. Because you got to remember that those nerfs mostly, like, the biggest hit was on champions that are already struggling in lane matchups and really like relied on that sustain to be able to tank the damage and make sure they could just stay in lane a little bit longer, get a bit more CS, and get a little bit better reset. So Akali definitely falling into that category. And now IG able to just use this control from breaking down mid with Herald to put a lot of pressure down towards bot side.
And even towards mid, look, Creme's called out. Great charm. Mole sets it up. Shun knocks it down. We get another mid jungle kill, and just as OMG think they get time to scale up Lyric and get this first item on the Akali, Mole and Shun come in red hot and continue pacing this game ahead.
I was talking to, I think it was Mazel the other day, that it's kind of tragic. IG, another one of those teams that after, like towards the end of the split, when they were pretty much doomed, able to step it up, able to find a roster that worked. And I was saying that, honestly, I think they look better than some of the teams that right now would be occupying a playoff spot. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. IG just looking for a 2-0 for their pride. And Doinby out there watching, hoping IG 2-0, so his team gets locked into playoffs.
He's looking at Mull, he's like, dude, whatever you want, I'll take you for hot pot. It doesn't matter. Like, IG with the 2-0, Lyric said, will lock in LNG. Right now, it's looking good for this game one, as we pointed out the 6.5k gold lead, but the double dragon here against the Samira Lyric that has snowballed into this game. And sure, we have Abel who's 3-1 on a Sivir. Great stuff. But it is Abel versus Arn, Mole, Shun, and even Zika, as this Jax is also going to be a big threat.
I mean, heck, Zika's been fine just chilling up in topside, even in farm, has a Divine Sunder in hand now. It's going to be able to just outmatch Shanji in sides. You can see going towards that bot lane now will just end up matching Creme, but IG going to look to play for Herald. I was going to say Shun trying to run down Aki, but let's remember Zika doesn't have TP, so does end up start to walk up towards this Herald. I feel like OMG are so behind on like tempo of the play since Creme is still pushing in bot. They just have to end up giving this one over, but they're not even going to be able to trade for anything, right? Because Creme down there by himself, Zika already heading down to match in time. It seems like for OMG, all you could do is cover or play on top side.
IG with the second Herald of the game. Mole moving in cheekily though. Good Everfrost onto Aki, but it is against a Yuumi. And we need to talk a little bit about how this second Herald affects the game, Lyric, because for IG, only one outer turret's in the top side. We've also got bot, excuse me, as Zika now pushes against it. But I'm kind of wondering if Shun just drops it now and tries to build momentum yet again in the side.
Looks like you don't even have to ask. He's making the move over right now. For IG, I think you would ideally not even want to drop it at so low. Looks like that's what they're going to opt in towards. So you could save it for either a position if you need to in bot, or looking for a tier 2 dragons up in 2 minutes time. So that could be a way to generate even more pressure that OMG would have to answer, and then set yourself up on still point. IG right now just so far ahead, right? They have a plethora of options coming through. And I mean, we've already hit on some of the, like the stakes with playoffs. We've hit on some of the storylines around Mole. But I just want to go back to the fact that on willing to throw down the gauntlet, willing to bring out the Samira, he had the highest gold on the team from IG when we got the last gold grab. Was slightly ahead of Mole by, I think, not even 100 gold. But now almost making his way towards the second item, looking towards a Lord Dominic's, is going to be incredibly potent, even at taking down some of the frontliners like Aki and Shanji.
A lot of frontliners at that as well, right? The LDR coming in strong, Lyric. I think healing cut is probably going to be something that IG start considering as well, right? Considering there is a Yuumi, Xin Zhao on the team. We also have a Sivir where, innately, even with Doran's Blade and the built-in, Sivir's going to have sustain. So I'm wondering what happens as Abel going to be targeted here. It's just insulting, isn't it? It's like, hey, you hovered it as a joke, but Arn picking it up is like Ziz. I don't know if you ever remember Ziz, but Ziz in Australia, come at me, bro. Are you with me? You understand who Ziz is? You remember the gym guy?
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you. Keep going.
All right, it's literally Ziz. Arn is Ziz right now, you know? And if he wins this game as well, you watch. Maybe OMG for once have to ban Samira against the team as well.
There's no way. There's no way OMG will be the team banning Samira. Shun goes in.
Out of the wing as well. Abel's going to be depth charge. The disengage from Cole, but Wink is getting low. Arky's mitigated the damage as Mole's jumped in. This could be okay for OMG with Creme coming off the side, but he's gone in as OMG have disengaged. Mole still having a Spirit Rush. The Charm not connecting. It's in front of this Dragon. And a noble attempt from OMG to kite back, excuse me.
Felt like it could have been one of OMG's only windows, because there he is, the man on the Jax. Once again, wasn't there, pushed in top wave. So OMG sacking sides to be able to get on Drake first, but IG now having 5 members here still want to contest.
All right, Charm not connecting. Arn is here and the one to focus on. Even with that last Whisper, a lot of damage to shred through. Aki with no ulti, Shanji the same. Abel does not have on the hunt as OMG start off the Dragon Lyric, but IG are just waiting.
IG are smart, just play time. You have Herald pushing in mid. It's sad they didn't do that a bit sooner, because last wave was on turret, and now OMG are forcing them to make a choice.
Shanji taking damage here as the poke comes through. Mole with the angle, the charm, great. They just jump on Shanji. Arn the first as he's close to getting S rank, the Daredevil Impulse, and he spins! Ziz Myron right now as we're all sitting here living in his world. A triple kill against the Samira connoisseur. You better believe I'm Myron.
Beautiful teamwork coming out from IG, on with the triple, but Zika as well, jumping straight onto Abel, so he wasn't able to do anything. Mole finds the charm. We see the Rift Herald pushing in mid. This is IG's world, and OMG have to pay to live in it.
Oh, hell yeah. How many times we've used Medic's World's Call to just refresh up the worlds we're living in, but Lyric, let's be real. IG, when OMG are trying to secure in playoffs, this team on the blue side is being such a nuisance. And as we said, looks so damn good. Like, we'll look at the replay again, but it's just so well paced out.
Yeah, we see here IG having to go in, so Dredgeline connects. They instantly take down Shanji, and we see Zika goes onto the back line, which leaves just IG having the superior numbers. The ultimate comes out from On, and they're able to get on top of him. Creme very quickly was zoned out of the fight, but the initial pick doing so much, and the fact that Jack's able to zone out the Sivir. I mean, Sivir is the big damage dealer of this composition. That's even regardless of Creme being set behind, but even more so with the fact that him not really being able to find an impact. The heck, even looking at items now, Abel not on the Phantom Dancer just yet. LDR now picked up for On, even a pickaxe in tow as well.
Oh, dude, look at the gold. It's 11,000 at 20 minutes into the game, and you know what remains true? We talked about IG's early game throughout the split, Lyric. Even when they were losing games, we're like, man, IG's early game, though, the first 15, 20 minutes look good. They have accelerated this more than we've ever seen in a game out of them. And now setting up for more of these picks, just trying to expose the base further if Creme steps too far forward.
Yeah, OMG trying to find a way in, but they might just walk into IG. IG, I think, are
Mole.
playing this. Oh!
Just over. Spirit Rush, and there's the Everfrost. One more. Haki close to dying as Mole won't burn his flash. Instead, looks at the fight ahead of him. On with yet another. Uh-oh. S-rank once more for a double kill. Abel stare into the abyss as Arn still has his flash available. We know Samira play as well. Zika takes down Arki off the side of our screen. OMG are getting hands diff, and it's not even close.
This is crazy. If you covered the nameplates, you would think this is a game of like top esports versus, I guess, anyone towards the lower end of the table. But IG coming in with a huge performance, now turning it into a Baron. Like, we've seen IG throw leads. We've seen IG throw big leads. This one would be rough to throw for IG. I don't want to finish that sentence because I know I would curse it, but we'll go into how it happens, right? Mole starting off. Spear rush over the wall into the charm. Surprisingly not able to finish off Aki once he does pop the ultimate, but they're able to commit to the rest of the fight with Zika TPing in. They keep running them down. This allows Zika to just go up towards the top side. Aki wouldn't have been able to get away even if he kept running towards his inner turret, and the kill goes over to the Jax.
How good does IG look? As I'll say, like I said, you know, LNG's best game of the split, I think I end up casting. BLG the same. It's like, why couldn't we have this earlier on? OMG are getting diffed, as we said. Zika's going to full commit. OMG are all here. Ulti locked down. He's not going anywhere. He's knocked up. And when you're this far behind, that is such a good setup. Finally getting some gold, but do they care? I mean, IG might even 4v5. The all-in. Mole over the wall, and Chrono Trigger Part 2. It's a time crisis for IG's AD carry. And he's, with a quadra kill, going to take down the OP Sivir. Samira in the LPL.
On takes away Abel Samira and completely wrecks him with it. IG overall, again, it's so sad they're able to get it together once they're officially out, but my God, did they smack OMG.
It was so easy, it wasn't even close, and on Samira, undoubtedly gonna make Abel think twice about flashing that. 12-1-5, you know who gets my MVP vote.
Just beautiful game overall. I do gotta say, there's a downside out there. This does open up the one bad possibility we potentially don't want. So, you know, hopefully that doesn't happen of IG winning in a 2-1 fashion. But for IG, able to find this first win. I mean, they came in, they knew what they had to ban away in terms of, I guess, really just preventing Creme from getting his hands on that Silas. We said it's really the only meta pick that he's comfortable and, like, proficient to going towards. We even saw him, like, hovering over the Talia and thinking, do I go for this? No. The answer is always to go back to something like the Akali, just not the same comfort there. Sure. I don't know, maybe if he'd be willing to pull out, like, a Kiana, like, if you think back to last year of his other niche champions he was
Yeah.
able to play, but still wasn't there. IG did a great job of just hammering down on this bottom lane from very early on. Like, let's remember how insane that play was when it looked like Xun should flash over the wall and escape, and IG are like, no, screw that. We're all flashing over the wall to join him and just go balls to the wall of taking people down. And I mean, they did it. They kept the pace going, and OMG were never able to counterpunch.
And the fact that flash over, just looking back at that play, you know, Arn puts himself in a great spot, but the willingness to commit from IG is impressive. The all-in, the fact it's not just about Xun as well, I think that's another big deal, where Xun is the make or break of Invictus Gaming. But there's games like this where all members do well, like Zika by himself doing fine. We saw Mole as well with a great counterpunch in a lot of situations. IG, this gives me hope for 2023 because there's so many good elements at play. And if IG keep it like this, I mean, this is a future playoffs team in the next split.
It's kind of funny because, like, I wholeheartedly agree, right? Xun is the driving force in the heart of this team, always has been. But I feel like one of the things that they've changed slightly was earlier in the split when they were trying to do like things like those Nidalee comps, or even when it wasn't on Nidalee, they're actually putting a lot of resources just into Xun himself. Again, all of his like stats were so crazy in terms of like the amount of gold that he was getting and the damage he was putting up. And I feel like as the split has progressed, it wasn't even necessarily when Mole came in, but like maybe a series or two after that, that they've put more comfortable putting Mole on champions and not just having him constantly lean for Xun and like play his own lane and try and find advantages. They've been comfortable putting resources into bot lane, which is something they weren't doing before. And it kind of goes back to the old question of, you know, do you enable maybe your stronger half of the map or stronger player, which I think would probably be Zika or Mole over their bot lane, or do you just kind of enable this bot lane to be able to have a decent performance and then rely on your top laner to be self-sufficient? IG have clearly opted into that second way as the split has gone on, and it's honestly been working out for them.
True. IG, we're just talking them up over and over, right, for a reason, but they deserve it. That game, 23 minutes. And I'm just trying to look for the fastest game of the split. I know it's not that lyric, but it's definitely close. Like, it's 21 minutes 25. It was V5 versus WE, as you'd kind of expect. But, you know, IG being that close just shows the dominance. As we're going to go to a break, see what happens in game 2, because honestly, that was smooth from IG.